Hello everyone, and thanks for coming. In this talk I will introduce you a strange place in our planet that actually looks like another planet. And this place is located in the middle of Antarctica. But I don't know if you know where Antarctica is. Please raise your hand if you think Antarctica is on the south. Okay. And do you think Antarctica is big, like big than Italy and Spain together? Raise your hand if you think so. Big than Italy, Spain, and France and Germany together? Yes, yes, okay, yeah, you're right. Because Antarctica is on the south, as you can see. You can see on the left there is the South America, on the top of the image here there is South Africa, and on the right there is Australia. And we discovered Antarctica just 2 centuries ago. And we spent the first winter in Antarctica just 1 century ago. And we were able to reach the South Pole only in 1911. And think this year, because the moon landing was in 1969. This means that before 1911, we were not able to go everywhere in our planet. And just after 60 years, we went to the moon. And you see Antarctica is white because it's covered by ice. The 98% of Antarctica is covered by ice. It's the coldest place on Earth. The temperature, the record temperature is minus 89 Celsius degrees. But actually from the satellites, we measured a temperature of minus 19.8 Celsius degrees. And the continent is there is a lot of water. The 60% of all fresh water of the Earth is in Antarctica, and is the highest continent because the average of the altitude is about 2 kilometers. And in case all this ice melts, the level of the sea will increase of 60 meters. Means that the geography of the Earth will change drastically. And another aspect is the population. It's basically it's empty because imagine a bigger continent, a big continent bigger than Europe, with just 100 people from February, 1,000 people, sorry, from February until November. And of these 1,000 people, only the 10% live inside Antarctica, because inside Antarctica there are 3 permanent bases, one from United States, one from Russia, and another one from Europe. The one from Europe is called Concordia with 13 people. The one from Russia is called Vostok with 13 people too. And the one from the United States with 45 people. So imagine like Europe with only about 80 people inside. And here in this map you can see the 3 bases. Here there is Concordia, Vostok is here, here is South Pole. To have an idea, this distance from here to here is 1,200 kilometers. The distance from Concordia and Vostok is 600 kilometers. It means that Concordia and Vostok are more isolated than the International Space Station, because the ISS, the distance between the ISS and the Earth is about 400 kilometers, but the distance between Concordia and the closest living being is 600 kilometers, because there is no living being around Concordia. Even bacteria, there is anything, because the temperature is so low, it can drop, it can be lower than minus 80 Celsius degrees during the winter. There is no sun for 3 months in a row. And there is a lack of oxygen, because we are at 3,200 meters, but actually the pressure of the atmosphere is like you are at 4,000 meters from the level of the sea. It's the 35% less than the level of the sea. And this is the worst thing for your body because, for instance, you cannot sleep well at night. The first 2 weeks, when I was relaxing in my bed trying to sleep, after a little bit, I wake up because you have to take a deep breath because of this. And imagine that in 1 hour, this is called apnea. In 1 hour, you go 60 times in apnea. It's about once per minute. It's really hard. If you think after the 30 times in an hour is so dangerous for your body, that here is totally out of normal standards. Another thing is the air is really dry, and this impacts also in the breathing because you always have sore in your nose and blood, and so also this impacts in the breathing. This is Concordia. On the left side, you see, is composed of 2 towers. On the left side, there is we call the noise tower because there you are allowed to do some noise because in the 3rd floor there is a kitchen and a living room, and in the other tower you cannot do any noise because there are the bedrooms and the offices in the 3rd floor. And as you see, it's flat and white. There is nothing until the horizon. And this is an aerial view of Concordia. Concordia, the 2 towers are here in the middle, and all around the base there are some containers with food, with garbage, and also there is another camp. I mean, a place where you can sleep during the summer because during the summer we are 60 people. There is a lot of projects, and not all can fit inside the base because inside the base there are only 16 bedrooms, and so the majority of the people during the summer sleep here in the summer camp and in this tents. Here there is a telescope, here another telescope, and what do we do there in Concordia? The purpose of the mission is to do scientific research. In fact, this is one of the 2 telescopes I showed you before, and this telescope during all the season, the winter, was looking at a particular star because it was looking for an exoplanet. An exoplanet is a planet that rotates around a star outside the solar system. And we do research in different fields. Other than astronomy, there is the physics of atmosphere. And for instance, every day at 7 p.m. we raise a balloon with helium. This was the balloon the last year for the EPICA 9. And in this balloon there is a radio attached here because it transmits to the base some atmospheric data like the intensity of the wind, the direction of the wind, the temperature, the atmospheric pressure at different altitudes. We do seismology because we have 2 seismometers out inside the snow at 15 meters under the snow. This tunnel that you see here is the tunnel, is called the seismotunnel because to reach the seismometers you have to go through this tunnel. You don't see it very well from here. In any case, it's blue because this picture has been taken during the summer when there is some light outside, and but only the blue frequencies of the electromagnetic field can pass the ice. That's why you see this picture as blue. And we do glaciology also during the summer and during the winter. For instance, this one is called a snow pit. We do a big hole inside the snow because we have to take some samples of the snow. And why? For instance, because we want to study the climate of the past. Because inside the ice and inside the snow there are some bubbles of air. And for instance, in this particular case, this snow pit is of 4 meters. If you take the snow at 4 meters under the level of the surface, you get the bubble of 100 years ago. So we took a lot of samples, one every 3 centimeters, and to study the chemical composition of the atmosphere of the last century. And now currently we know how was the composition of the atmosphere of the last 800,000 years, because this study has been done, is the biggest one about glaciology, and it has been done in Concordia because in Concordia because it was called the EPICA project. The E of EPICA is for European. Was an European project, and they drilled for 3 kilometers under the snow, and so we discovered the chemical composition of the atmosphere of the past. If you see the black line, this is the temperature, and the other are the greenhouse gases, and if you see the trend is the same. This one, for instance, is the CO2. So you can take some conclusion of this. It's exactly the same look. Also, we do human biology. Why? Because Concordia is on Earth the closest thing to a base on another planet for different reasons, because of the isolation, because for 9 months between February until November, Concordia is unattainable. It means that no one can reach Concordia, no one can move from Concordia. It can happen everything, but you have to take care of all the emergencies, of almost everything. So there is a small crew. We are in 13. It's very close to, in the Earth is like a simulator of what can be in another planet. Maybe when we go to Mars in the next decade, I don't know when. And so in this picture there is Carmen. She is a doctor from the European Space Agency, and every month we had some analysis of urina, blood, motor skills, and what else? We drive a simulator of the Soyuz. The Soyuz is the spacecraft that moves from the Earth to the International Space Station to bring some food and fuel and astronauts. And why we did this? Because they wanted to study, for instance, in this particular case, how the driving skills change during time in case of lack of oxygen. And so 1 hour and a half of driving every month of this. And is Andre, the technical chief, is taking care of the maintenance of one generator, because of course we need electricity in the base, and we have 3 big power generators inside the base, but that's not enough because maybe the base, because of a fire, the base will be destroyed, and you have to go outside of the base. So we have also 2 generators outside the base in the summer camp. And we need a lot of fuel for this, and we take the fuel during the summer. The summer is between November and February. It's called summer, but actually it's not summer because the temperature is minus 30, minus 35 Celsius degrees, and but there is the sun for 24 hours per day, so it's summer, and you can move in Antarctica during the summer. And these are some caterpillars. One of them has some containers with food, with fuel, and with big objects that you cannot take with the airplane. And we have 2 of these every year during December and January, usually. And it's very different the summer from the winter, because, but also the coast from the center of Antarctica, because in the coast during the summer the temperature is like 0 degrees, and in the center is minus 30, minus 35. When I moved from Concordia, it was in December, and the temperature was minus 45, When I reached the coast, it was 0 degrees, about 0 degrees. And also in the coast, there are living beings. There are seals, penguins, etc. In Concordia, there is not just flat, just white. And this is a picture I took from the entrance of the base to the containers, because we store the food outside the base, also the garbage. And we take the food from the container maybe once per week, once every 2 weeks, so you don't have to go outside every day to take the food. In any case, we have to go outside every day because we have to take care to manage the instruments, to the maintenance of the instruments. And so every day we go outside the base, but we are very well covered. We have a special clothes, and so you don't have cold except for your hands and for your eyes maybe, but not in the body. And this is a normal dinner. As you see, this is the living room, and we built some trees in order to have a more yes, a little bit. And so just to show you, or to have an idea what we do in Concordia, because we need also some support. There is a plumber. There is this one is Moreno is a scientist taking care of the experiments of the study of the magnetic field and seismology. A glaciologist. There is a doctor. There is Filippo for the physics of atmosphere. There is Andre who took care of the power generators. Mechanicist, electricist, glaciologist, ICT guys. There is the cook, of course, the most important person, the base, the doctor, the bad guy. There is always one in every crew. Okay, and as I told you, the night was really long, 3 months, 97 days of darkness, and it started the 3rd of May, but it was really nice because the sky was amazing, and I took this picture in okay, I took this picture in May. And this is the base, the telescope looking at Beta Pictoris, 1 star. And this is me. Jupiter is here, the Milky Way, and Mars. I took this picture in June. This is the Aurora Australis, as you can see, Jupiter and a little bit of Milky Way. And as I told you, there are some containers outside the base because the instrumentation is almost all outside the base. And this one is the container with the instrumentation of the physical of the atmosphere. And this is a laser because we use it to measure the number of crystals of ice in the atmosphere in the first 30 kilometers of altitude. And I told you everything is flat, so why there is this mountain? Because the strong wind accumulates the snow close to the containers, close to the base, and in fact these small mountains is about here, close to this container. And we terminate the night the 10th of August, and after that we had like the feeling, okay, outside is very, it's comfortable, yes, we can go with the less clothes, etc. But actually for 3 weeks after the termination of the night, the temperature was minus, the wind chill temperature was minus 100 Celsius degrees. Wind chill is, why it's not working very well? Okay, can I take it? Prova. Okay. The wind chill is the temperature you feel because of the wind. So, for instance, the actual temperature was minus 75 Celsius degrees, but the wind chill was about minus 100 Celsius degrees. And so it was the time to do some experiment, very useful, like this one. we throw in the air some boiling water just to see if it frozen before reaching the ground. And it did, yes. And in November, the first airplane arrived after 9 months of isolation. We were really, really happy, as you can see, but also because with the airplane there was some vegetables, fruit, and all fresh food, and we were waiting a lot for them. And what about Python? Python during my winter over, so the last year, was the most used programming language in Concordia. I use it to program the telescope, to control the telescope, but also we use Python in every project, like in the physics of atmosphere, to program the Raspberry Pis. But it's really hard to, for instance, to contribute to open source because you don't have internet in your computer. We only have one computer shared with all the people, because the bandwidth, the rate is very, very low. We had 512 kilobit per second. And so before going there, I unsubscribed to every mailing list, and I wasn't able to use GitHub, nothing. You have to imagine if you have to work without internet, everything changes. And but also we had very strict policies, like for instance, if you send an email now, you have to wait 30 minutes at least to send another one. You can send maximum and receive maximum of 20 emails per day. And the maximum size of every attachment is 256 kilobytes. So it's complicated to work in Antarctica, but in any case, we were able to contribute to big projects. Like I don't know if you know what is the Event Horizon Telescope. The Event Horizon Telescope is a network of 8 telescopes, ground-based, and one of them is in the Antarctic Plateau, in the USA base. And maybe you can recognize this picture here. This one is the first, it's not a picture actually, it's an image of the first black hole. It's an image made in the radio frequencies. And to take this image or to analyze the data from where you took this image, you have to get all the data of the 8 telescopes. After, you have to correlate the data, and so you have like the data of just one big telescope. Not because, for instance, one telescope can have the dish of just 10 meters. But when you correlate the data of different telescopes, you have a big dish of the distance between the telescopes. And so to correlate this data, they needed to have the data also from Antarctica, from the Antarctic Plateau. And they had to wait until November because it was not possible to send the data because of the strict bandwidth. And so after November, they correlate the data, and after they took this image, and maybe you don't know, but every one of you contributed this image, because behind the software scenes of this image, there is Python, mostly Python. If you look at the paper, you see the library they used, and you see that library written in Python. And so there is like matplotlib, numpy, etc. And so I think this is amazing contribution from this community, from every one of you. And thanks for everything. But it's really a contribution. Also, if you are just a user of these libraries, or a contributor, or if you organize the conference, every one of us in a different way is contributing to science, is contributing to these amazing results. And so thanks to every one of you, and thanks for listening me. If you want to know more about the stories about the picture I showed you before, just follow me on Facebook, because usually I wrote them the long stories about the pictures, and that's all. Thanks.
Later. No. Is there any serious question?
Only three silly questions.
Three silly questions.
No, okay, two. Because first of all, I would like to say thank you to Marco, and I appreciate when you share some part of your bandwidth to text with me and send me photo on WhatsApp.
Thank you.
Really appreciate. So the first silly question is, okay, how did you manage to stay sober for the whole time in Antarctica?
I didn't manage it.
And the second silly question is, how did you survive without being able to order anything on Amazon.com?
How? The question is how?
How did you survive?
I don't know. I don't know, actually.
Is there any No, finished. Yeah. Thank you, please.
I have sort of a silly question. Are there any animals up there, like sled dogs or cats or anything like that?
So you are not allowed to take any animal to Antarctica because you don't want to contaminate the environment. And inside Antarctica, there are animals just only on the coast. Inside Antarctica, in the Antarctic plateau, there is anything, really anything. There is no bacteria. In fact, in English is immunity system. Okay, immunity system is like sleeping for 1 year, and it's really dangerous when you go to normal world. In fact, for instance, in December, I went to New Zealand in the countryside for 2 weeks before moving to Italy, because I wanted my immune system to just to adapt to the normal world.
And you went to New Zealand for that?
Yes, because from Antarctica we moved to Christchurch in New Zealand, so I spent 2 weeks in New Zealand, and after I went back to Italy.
That's a great excuse to spend time in New Zealand, I guess.
Yeah, there is my wife here. I have to.
Yeah.
How is the weather there? You mentioned the wind. Is there any kind of precipitation, storm, things like that?
So actually, it's a desert, Antarctica. So especially in the middle of Antarctica, there are no precipitation. The snowfall is 2 centimeters per year. It's nothing, and but there is a little bit of wind in the center, but not like in the coast. In the coast, you can have also 300 kilometers per hour of wind. But inside Antarctica, the maximum we had during this year, it was 60 kilometers per hour. But it's really dangerous. Also, 60 kilometers is really dangerous because you cannot see anything. You cannot go outside the base because you get lost because of this. Because the snow is really dry, and so it's like dust with a little bit of wind. There are these like clouds, and you don't see. You even don't see the base. You don't know where to go.
How is the team chosen? And what if you don't like the people you have to work with for 9 months?
Yes, this is, I think, the
It's
most important part of the trip. We did a lot of psychological tests at the beginning for 2 weeks in Italy, after 2 weeks in France, because of this, because I think for also if you go to space, the future mission, the problem is not a technical a technical problem, but maybe one of the biggest problem is the personal interrelationships. And so we were prepared for this, and luckily this year we were a nice crew and everything went well.
What was the most surprising thing that happened to you during this time that you spent in Antarctica? The thing that you were expecting the less?
You know, it was like as I was expecting, except maybe when I arrived there after 3 hours of airplane from the coast to the center. After 3 hours without seeing anything, just white, no houses, no trees, anything. After 3 hours, I saw a small dot in the snow, and a little bit this dot was a little bit getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and so I realized how far was from the coast, how we were isolated, and this was the most surprising thing for me.
Wow. Yeah.
I was wondering how were the places of the stations chosen, and how does the location of, for example, Concordia differ from the Russian one?
So the Russian one is really different because it's under the snow, and because it's old station. They built that station in the half of 19th, and so it's totally different. Also, it's an old station under the snow. It's really complicated to stay there. Also, they have less bandwidth than us, and actually, I'm not sure the base is it's still open because we tried to contact them and they didn't answer. And also because during the winter in Antarctica there is like a film festival. Every base has to make like a small movie, and they didn't participate they didn't propose a movie, they didn't participate to anything. And also I met a guy from Russia when I was going back to normal world, and they told me the base is closed, but I'm not sure. I don't know.
I mean, no bells ringing.
There is-
I mean, no show up. No answer to calls.
No. And but it's a really strange base, Vostok. Imagine 1 year, not 1 year. After one winter, some years ago, from Russia, they didn't go there to take the crew, and so they spent 2 years in Vostok.
Oh, wow. Is there any question?
Hi. I would like to ask about the experiments that were performed during your period there. There is any particular experiment that come to your mind, especially in human biology, as you mentioned, the deep apnea during the night, and other kind of human biology in very interesting experiment that you took part or so?
Mom, I almost told you everything, but about the human biology, I didn't know yet the results because I have to go there. I have to go to Colonia to the European Space Agency in 3 weeks at the beginning of June. We had the last analysis, and after I think they will tell us the results of the different projects because there were I think 6 projects, and so actually I don't know.
Sorry. So my question is also related to the experiments. So it looks like there were like a lot going on in the base, and like only like 40-ish people, or like 40. I don't remember the exact number.
13.
13 or even less. Okay. So like and also like it looks like there were a lot of experiments, and I don't know how many people were actually like experts on that field. Like for example, I don't know your entire background, but like you were also from the pictures like working on like seismology and astronomy, and I don't expect everyone everybody to be expert on every single field. So how does that work? Like, did you get training on the other fields? Like, there was an expert for each experiment that was going on on the base.
So I had the training for 2 fields, but when you are there, for instance, I'm a software developer, so I was just writing the software of the telescope and taking care of the maintenance. But before going there, I had a special training to survive in Antarctica like this. And but also there, you have to help also the other guys of your crew. You have to help the cook. You have to help everyone. So you have to learn. You have to have to be able to socialize with everyone. During the summer campaign, when someone told you, "Can you help me to make a snow pit?" Because yes, of course. But it's really nice because you learn a lot. It's not something that annoys you.
So did you get altitude practice, like being up at altitude before you went there to help you acclimate?
Yes, we spent 1 week in the Alps in Italy. Yes, only 1 week, but it was just like a psychological test, I think. And we spent 1 week there. We were in a camp in a glacier, and only this week. Because in any case, you don't get used of the altitude. Also, after 1 year in Concordia, I was not able to do the same things I do here in Italy. I wasn't breathing well also after 1 year. You get just a little bit used because you don't wake up like, but you have apnea in any case. You don't realize, but the European Space Agency 2 years ago had some study about this, and you have apnea in any case.
Does the yoga and meditation help you during these months?
Yes, I practice yoga every day there. Also because I wanted to be focused on one thing, because it's really, how can I say, if something gets wrong outside Concordia, maybe I know someone from your family or something else, it's really easy to lose the control of yourself. So I try to take the control practicing yoga every day, and I did it. But also because of the breathing, because one part of the yoga practice is the breathing, control breathing, and so you increase the oxygenation of your blood. And so I did it every day because of this, because I wanted to oxygenate my mind.
Marco, thank you for the presentation. And in which way they selected all the crew and also you? And another question is, have you learned some Python to the other people on the crew for helping you in some stuff or some works?
If I teach some Python?
Yeah.
Okay, just to one guy, but just a little bit, because he was a Python. You know, it's really easy if you want to start programming Python. So he was able to learn alone almost everything, because in any case you can do complex things in Concordia. There is no internet. I told you, for instance, I was programming with Python 2.7. You have just to think, okay, tomorrow I have to work without internet. The last week, what can I do? It's complicated. And the first part of the question was about, okay, so the recruiting system is different depending of if you are from France, from Italy, and also depending of if you are a scientist or not. If you are not a scientist, you have to apply to, I don't know actually where, but you have to be hired from a company. It's not a public company, and but if you want to take some research there, you have to be from an Italian organization, like I'm from the Italian National Institute of Astrophysics, a public organization like the CNR, for instance, and so on. You have to apply. For instance, the deadline for the next year is tomorrow, the 6th of May. And
please send your applications there.
So it's different depending of what you want to do there.
Actually, I have this question. I might know the answer from you, but I would like to ask you if you would suggest this experience to other people.
Yes, yes, for a lot of reasons. So there are some nice aspects, but also some downsides from my point of view, like a guy, a developer. Imagine if you stay 1 year without learning almost anything or without knowing what is happening outside. When I was working here, it was also complicated to me to don't study something for 1 week. Imagine for 1 year and a half. This is the downside for me, but from the human experience, it's so nice. Of course, if I have to see all the aspects, I say you, of course, do it for sure.
Not knowing what happens in Italy is good. Sometimes.
Yes, yes, you're totally right.
So since you don't have Stack Overflow,
Yes. The first
or
two-
other resources, what books did you bring to help you with your Python?
Just the standard library documentation, and but no, but the first 2 weeks it was so strange because I always wanted to look on Stack Overflow. Oh no, I can't. You have to use your mind more than here, I think.
Local copy. And hi, how many hours did you used to work there? So, do you had free time in the day or just working and sleeping?
No, of course you have free time. Usually you work from the morning until 6 p.m. After you can do some sport, like I did yoga. After we have the dinner all together, because we have a lunch and dinner always together, because one of the you don't have to like to be isolated from the rest of the group, because it's really easy to yes. And so we spent dinner together, and after we had we socialized in the living room. We chat together. We look at some movies, and so also on Sunday is a totally free day, so you can do whatever you want.
More or less.
As you lived in quite an isolated place for a long time, also the environment outside was quite nothing. I don't know if you dream a lot before. I was just maybe a silly question, but did you saw a change in your dreams? You have less input that were more used to.
In my dreams, that's I cannot answer, but you know why? Because before going to Concordia, I was not able to remember my dreams. Okay. And now I'm remembering my dreams. I'm dreaming a lot about Concordia, but I don't know how were my dream before. But now I'm realizing I'm dreaming a lot about Antarctica and Concordia. Yes, sometimes I'm scared about the dreams. And sometimes I normal dreams, but I'm dreaming a lot.
We have time for another quick question. Of course.
There was any quarrel during 1 year?
Any?
Any quarrel, litigio?
No. No. But normal, like what can happen in a normal working environment, nothing more. Was just a lucky year, I think, because a previous year maybe it was a little bit different. So, good.
All right. I think we're done. So thank you very much, Marco.
Thank you.